Yo, you made it on your mat today. Congratulations. Thanks for joining me again. My name's Alex, and today we're going to start our practice with a little theme just to help us get a little more thoughtful about our practice. The theme for this practice is changing with time, and you might notice when maybe the seasons change, or you're going through a job change, or you're moving into a new space, or you feel like things are shifting, things can feel a little chaotic. We might get a little on edge, anxiety might go up, our depression might go up. Whatever it is, it can make us feel a little out of sorts. So this practice is to help us be a little more open to change, adapt our attitudes, make ourselves a little more able to move at this new pace and learn to take the time we need. So we're going to take the time we need with this practice, move through the flow, and hopefully feel nice and relaxed, grounded, and rested towards the end. So with that, I'll shut up and let's flow. Starting on our backs today, just to help us calm our minds, recognize that we're taking this time for ourselves, closing our eyes, getting a little comfortable, hopefully a lot comfortable, as comfortable as we can be. Noticing our breath, noticing how our body feels. Are there any little sensations coming from different areas of your body? Maybe you're sensing a little tension from one space. Just try to breathe it out, and release any holds we might be keeping as we relax into our mat. And keeping our eyes closed, we're going to do a short breathing exercise before we get moving. We're just going to do timed inhales and exhales with an increase with each round. So starting with 5, we're going to inhale for 5 seconds, exhale for 5 seconds, all through the nose. Feeling our lips. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Up to 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Down 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now 7. 1. Inhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let it go. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Last one. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Exhale 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Finding our own rhythmic breath, whatever that count is. Maybe just noticing the seconds we're taking. Slowly fluttering your eyes open. Let's move on to our bellies. Let's start with a few Supermans. So when you're ready, bring your hands out in front of you and lift your legs and your arms. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lowering down. Bringing those hands down by the shoulders and out to a T. Let's lift again. Ready? Up, Still breathing. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower down. Nice. Now we're going to turn that Superman into a locust, bringing our hands by our sides. When you're ready, lifting the legs and the arms up, as well as the torso and the chest. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lowering down. Let's bring our hands underneath our shoulders and slowly push ourselves up into all fours. We're going to warm up the spine with cat-cow, but doing it a little differently. So you're going to start towards your heels, almost like a child's pose, but not all the way. And on your inhale, you're going to drop the belly coming up. Exhale, round the spine, coming back. Let's get moving. Inhale, drop the belly, pulling ourselves forward and up. Exhale, round the spine, waving back. Inhale, pulling the chest forward, drop the belly, looking up. Exhale, round the spine, pushing our hips to heels. Inhale, coming forward. Exhale, rounding the spine. And finding your own rhythm with your breath. Let's move through this a few times on our own. Last one. Very good. Come to a neutral tabletop. Take that right knee and make sure it's planted into the mat. Stepping that left foot out to the side, planting the foot on the floor. Maybe tucking your right toes if that feels good, and sitting your hips to heels, getting a nice inner thigh stretch. Maybe you feel it. Not, that's okay. Releasing our knees if we've got it locked. Taking one more breath. And coming back up. Bringing that left knee in. And let's take that right foot out to the side. Stepping that right heel and foot all the way down. Tucking our left toes and sitting on our heels. Ooh, that feels good. Hopefully it feels good for you too. Breathing into the stretch. One more breath. And coming up, bringing that knee in, planting our hands firmly on the mat. Let's step back, plank pose. Very good. Holding our plank, really finding our hand placement, really gripping our fingers into the mat. And when you're ready, shifting those hips back and finding our down dog, maybe pedaling out our feet. Sometimes I like to take some knee dips to help press my hips back a little bit more. We don't want to be leaning all the way into our wrists. We want our legs to be taking some of our weight too. One more breath and we're going to move through some more waves. So when you're ready, coming up onto our toes, rounding the back, coming up on to our shoulders over our wrists, plank pose, and pushing our hips back. So we're slowly waving into our plank pose. When you're ready, coming up onto our toes, bringing our shoulders over our wrists, and flattening out into plank. Let's do one more, pushing our hips back into down dog, taking a breath. Here we go, coming up onto our toes, lifting our hips, rolling forward, shoulders over wrists, plank pose. Very good. This time, lower all the way down to your mat. Untucking our toes, baby cobra, just barely lifting the chest up off the mat, maybe lifting your hands, and coming back down. Let's go for the full expression now. Pushing our torso up for full cobra and tucking our toes, coming up into downward facing dog. Very good. Taking one breath before we do one sunny for today. When you're ready, slowly walk, step or jump to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, slowly rise up all the way to the top. Exhale, mountain pose. Inhale, lift our hands up to the sky. We're going to grab our right wrist with our left hand and pull that right arm over. Maybe feel your hips going over to the side. Try to keep your hips in alignment with your shoulders and your ankles and just pull that arm. One more breath. And coming to center, switching sides, grabbing that left wrist with your right hand and pulling it over to the side. Again, checking to make sure our hips come back into alignment. Very good. Coming back to center, releasing our hands to our side. Now we're going to take our hands, clasping them behind our back, pulling our hands down, opening up the chest. Inhale and exhale. On your next inhale, pulling down. Exhale, folding forward, bringing those hands up above our head. Inhale and exhale. Releasing our hands to our mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, plant the hands, step back, plank pose. Exhale, lower down to your mat, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale, pushing the hips back, downward facing dog. If you need to pedal out your feet a little bit, maybe make a few adjustments. Find your breath before we get into our flow. Let's do it. Planting that left foot into the mat. Inhale, right leg up behind you. Exhale, step it in between the hands. Runner's lunge. Inhale, slowly bring that torso up all the way to the top. Exhale, coming into our crescent lunge. Relaxing our shoulders away from our ears. Maybe taking that micro bend in the left knee. Still breathing. Let's take 2 more breaths. Very good. On your next inhale, twirl that left heel down, opening up to warrior 2 and exhaling into the position. Checking to make sure our back foot is parallel with the back edge of the mat. Shoulders are over those hips. We're gazing at those front fingertips. Let's take 2 more breaths. And straightening that right leg. Let's point all toes towards the side of the mat. Inhale, hands up high, 5-pointed star. Exhale, wide leg forward fold. You can stay here, or if you want a little extra stretch, you can walk your Hands behind you. Letting your head hang heavy, releasing any tension from the neck. Taking 2 more breaths. Last one. And slightly bending your knees, slowly rolling up all the way to the top. 5-pointed star. This time we're going to rotate our left toes to the front edge of the mat and then turn on our right toes for crescent lunge in the back of our mat. Again, changing a little bit with maybe your normal routine, but getting used to it. We're slowly working into it, just like we might change with the time and change with our pace. One more breath. And slowly lower that right knee down, maybe untucking the toes. And we're going to go into our low lunge. I like to have my low lunge on my hips. This allows me to come in and out. You can come in and out too with your hands high. This is just how I like to do it. We don't have to take each posture so seriously and follow exactly what the book of yoga says. It's not totally a book of just yoga. There's definitely the Vedas and things that tell us how things work, but we live in the modern world and we are allowed to change and adapt to what works for us. Taking one more breath and coming back to neutral. Let's straighten that left leg, bringing our left toes up and leaning over our left leg for half splits. Maybe you want to bring your toes forward and back. Maybe you want to make little circles. Or if you just want to stay still, that works too. Very good. Let's rebend that left knee, crawling our hands to frame the foot. But before we come up, we're going to slowly lift our right knee to the outside of the left ankle and find a seated position for a seated twist. Now, I'm turning away from the camera, but I'm still going to talk you through this. We're going to bring our right elbow to the outside of our left knee or hug our left knee in and bring that left hand behind us as we look over our left shoulder. Sitting up tall, taking a deep couple breaths, filling our lungs, feeling our diaphragm expand. Slowly come out of the twist. Maybe you can plant your hands and push yourself up to this position. Step that right foot back. So we're back in runner's lunge. Bring that left foot back. So we're in plank. And slowly lower down to your mat. On your inhale, pushing the chest up for cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, tuck the toes, hips back, downward facing dog. Pedaling our feet maybe if you like, or just finding some stillness. We'll take 2 breaths in our downward dog. Very good. Planting that right foot now. Let's go to the other side, lifting that left leg up behind you and stepping it in between your hands for runner's lunge. On your inhale, slowly bring that torso up, coming into crescent. Exhale, settling into the position. Again, maybe finding that bend in your right leg. Bringing that, making sure your hips are even. You might feel that hip flexor stretch if you're bending that right knee a little bit. And relaxing our shoulders away from our ears. Take one more breath. On your next inhale, twirl that right heel down and open up into your warrior two on your exhale. Checking to make sure you can see that left big toe to the inside of the left knee. And you can't really see the other ones because your knee is blocking them from your sight. And the reason we check for this is you don't want your knee too far in, nor do you want your knee too far out. You also don't want your knee super far forward. If you can do that, great. But you don't want to be reaching like this if it's uncomfortable. So try to find the position that feels good where your knee is over your ankle. Take 2 more breaths. Very good. Straightening out that left leg and turning our toes to the side of the mat again. Inhale, 5-pointed star. Exhale, wide leg forward fold. Bringing our hands to the mat. Let's take a little twist here, planting that left hand to the center in between your feet and opening up to the right side. You might feel your hips shifting. Try to bring them back to neutral and just open up with that torso. Still breathing. And bring that right hand down. Let's switch sides, planting the right hand and opening up to the left. Checking to make sure our hips aren't super uneven. One more breath. And bring that left hand down. Slowly bending our knees and rolling up. 5-pointed star. And turning to the original front edge of our mat as we settle into crescent lunge once again. We won't be here long. We're up on our left toes, finding strength in this posture. One more breath. You got this. And slowly lower that left knee down. Maybe you keep your hands high. Maybe you keep your toes tucked. Or you find the low lunge that works for you. Maybe it's different than the other side too. I think it's interesting when we study diagrams of the body or skeletons that we see hanging from science labs on those little poles. And that's not what everybody's body looks like. So we need to adjust, and that's okay. Always make the adjustments that feel good for you. Maybe you make the adjustments halfway through. Take one more breath wherever you are. And coming back into neutral, take that half splits on the other side. So straightening that right leg, bring those right toes up and leaning over that leg. Maybe you feel your hips swinging to the left, just make those adjustments. Bring that heel forward, even out those hips. Maybe take a micro bend in that right knee. Again, it might feel different, and that's okay. That's normal. Noticing those sensations, maybe flexing the foot, making some circles, other direction. Nice. Let's rebend that right knee, framing that right foot, and slowly picking up our left knee and moving it to the outside of the right ankle, finding our way onto our glutes, onto our booty, and ready for our seated twist on this side. You're going to inhale your hands up and twist to the right. So hooking that left elbow on the outside, the right knee, right hand behind you, and looking over the right shoulder, sitting up tall. We're still breathing, folks. Can't forget to breathe. Take one more breath. And slowly release from your twist. Maybe you plant your hands and push yourself up to frame that right foot. Stepping that left foot back on your toes. Planting the hands firmly into the mat as you step that right foot back in the plank pose. Inhale and plank. Exhale, shift forward, lower down, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale, pushing those hips back, downward facing dog. We're going to take 5 breaths in our down dog, but if this is a little too much and you want a little more of a rest, please open those knees and come down into your child's pose. Find what works for you now. Find what feels good. Taking 2 more breaths. Maybe noticing how our body feels after a little bit of our flow. All right, let's keep moving. Planting that left foot into the mat. Inhale that right leg up behind you. Exhale, step that foot in between your hands. Runner's lunge. Inhale, rotate that left heel down. Exhale, windmilling the arms into warrior 2. Maybe you have to push away your hair wisps like me to make sure you can see the front fingertips properly. And breathing. Checking to make sure we're in the right alignment. Our heel is pointing towards the center of our back foot. Our shoulders are over our hips. And finding the strength in this position. We all have it. Take one more breath. Here we go. Let's move a little bit more. Inhale, flipping that right palm. Exhale, guiding it up towards the ceiling. For reverse warrior, maybe you keep your hand gently on your back leg. We don't want to be pressing into it. Or maybe you take it out to the right side of your hip, behind your back. Reversing that warrior. Very good. One more breath. Very nice. Coming back up and straightening that right leg, pushing our hips back, reaching forward, and coming into triangle pose. Maybe your hand comes to your shin or your ankle or a block. Wherever it is, that's just perfect. Really using that left arm to open up to the left side. Breathing into the stretch. looking up to the sky, maybe finding a focus point or a drishti on the floor, or even closing your eyes if you want a little challenge. Take one more breath. And from here, you're going to slightly bend your right knee so you can help lift your torso up and turn your right toes to the side of your mat. 5-pointed star here. On your exhale, bend your knees and coming into goddess pose. Finding strength here. Maybe your hands stay here. Maybe you take a mudra, this hand mudra. And let's work our toes a little bit. So you're going to come up on your right toes, heel down, come up on the left toes, heel down, come up on both toes, hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and lower down, straightening out those legs. Bringing our front toes to the front edge of our mat, our back toes still facing the side of the mat, warrior 2. Bringing our hands behind us, clasping them together, pulling our fists down, and bringing that right shoulder down to the inside of our right knee for humble warrior. Taking a breath here. One more. And releasing our hands gently, planting them on the mat, coming back into our runner's lunge, stepping that right foot back, plank pose. Inhale, plank. Exhale, lower down to the mat, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. Exhaling those hips all the way back to your downward facing dog. Take 2 breaths before we move on to the other side. Here we go. Plant that right foot. Inhale, lift that left leg up behind you. Exhale, step it in between your hands. Runner's lunge. Inhale, turn that right heel down onto your mat. Exhale, windmill the arms to warrior 2. Finding strength in this posture again. Checking to make sure our body's in alignment. The 3 I always like to check for is the parallel back foot to the edge of the mat, shoulders over our hips, and our knee over our ankle. Let's take one more breath. Very good. Flipping that palm up to the sky and exhaling as we bring it back and up for reverse warrior. Maybe finding that little bind, or just gently keeping that hand on the back leg. 2 more breaths. Very good. Coming up out of our reverse warrior, straightening that left leg, pushing our hips back, reaching forward, and lowering that left hand down for triangle as we open up that right hand to the sky. This is one of my favorite postures. It really opens up my hamstring, makes my hips feel good. But that's just me. Maybe this isn't your favorite, and that's okay. One more breath. Here we go. Slightly bend that left knee so you can lift your torso up and turn all of your toes to the other edge of your mat. Reach for the sky, 5-pointed star. Exhale, lower down into your goddess pose. Let's do these toe exercises on this side. Right heel comes up, bring it down. Left heel comes up and bring it down. Let's do a couple more. Right, lift and down. Left, lift and down. One more round. Right, lift, down. Left heel and coming back. Let's do both. When you're ready, find your balance. Lifting up on both toes for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lowering those heels down. Bringing those left toes to face the front of your mat. Straightening out your right back foot and finding your way back into warrior 2. Very good. Clasping your hands behind you, pulling those fists down. Let's get humbled, bringing that left shoulder to the inside of the left knee. Maybe reaching those arms up. If you have that space, if you can, don't force anything. One more breath. As gently as you can, release those fingers, bringing those hands down to the mat and stepping back into plank pose. Nice job, everyone. Inhale and plank and lowering it down, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Very good. We've just completed most of our flow. Take one more breath in our down dog before we start moving into our cool down. Here we go. Planting that left foot, inhale, right leg up behind you. Exhale, step it to the outside of the right hand for lizard lunge. You can keep your left leg up if you like, or bringing that left knee down and working into your lizard lunge. If you're super flexy and can come all the way down and it feels good, please do. If you're like me, who's really working on their lizard, I like to play in this position. So I come to the outside edge with that right foot. Sometimes I can bend down onto both forearms and I work with that hip. And coming up out of our lizard, let's heel toe that foot all the way to the left side of the mat. You might know where we're going. Pigeon pose, planting those hands down, bring that right knee towards the right wrist, dragging that left leg behind you, making sure it's straight. You don't want it out to the side or too far in, straight behind you. And again, you don't need to have your shin totally parallel with the front edge of the mat. It can come in at an angle. Inhale, bring that head up high. And if you like, exhaling down into your humble pigeon, resting your head on your arms or a block or on the mat. We'll take 5 breaths in pigeon. One more breath. Terrific. Let's push yourself up slowly. Pigeon isn't always the easiest to get out of. Planting the hands, tucking the left toes. Bring that right knee up and stepping those right toes on the mat for plank and just pushing back into our down dogs. Really slowing it down now, changing with the pace, adjusting our flow. Let's plant that right foot. Inhale, lift that left leg up behind us. Exhale, step it to the outside of our left hand for lizard on the other side, lowering that right knee down, untucking the toes, and playing here. Finding what feels good and what works for you. Let's take 2 more breaths in lizard. This one's always a challenge for me, but some days are better than others, and sometimes the room is more heated than others, and sometimes when I find that there's more heat, I can really move into some of these postures. It all just depends on how we're feeling. Let's push ourselves up out of lizard slowly and gently. Heel toe that left foot all the way to the right side, planting our hands and gently lowering our left knee to the mat, making any adjustments, making sure back leg is straight. Inhale, full pigeon. Exhale, slowly lowering our chest down. If you like, again, do what works for you. Taking 5 breaths here. One last breath. Very good. Slowly pushing ourselves up out of pigeon, tucking our right toes and pushing our left foot back into plank. This time, setting our knees down in a wide-legged position, hips coming to heels for child's pose. Finding some rest, really reaching our arms forward or just relaxing them. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Great job, you did it. Maybe noticing how your body's changed after our flow, after the movements. Let's take one more breath. Very good. Slowly pushing yourself up. Bring your knees into tabletop, crossing our ankles, and sitting back on our bums. Here, bringing the soles of your feet together for butterfly pose. Maybe grasping your toes, inhaling up tall, exhaling as we fold forward. Try not to round your spine. Keep a flat back. And breathing. I think sometimes when we feel a little tight or a little strain, we hold our breaths. So, reminding you to breathe. It's also reminding me to breathe. One more breath. And slowly coming up. Let's extend our feet forward just slightly so we come into a diamond shape. Inhale up tall. Exhale, planting, grasping our toes and leaning forward. You might get a different stretch here. Maybe you do plant your hands and you pull yourself forward, whatever works. Taking 2 more breaths. Very good. Slowly coming up. Maybe you need to scooch boot forward just a little bit so your toes a little closer to the edge of the mat, keeping your knees bent, hands to the side, and slowly lower down onto your back. Ooh, as easily as you can, as slowly as you can. If you're like me and you just couldn't do it all the way today, that's okay. You're going to keep your knees bent. We're going to do 3 bridge poses. So you can either keep your hands on the mat or trying to touch your heels, lifting those hips up. Maybe you clasp your hands underneath you as you roll onto your shoulders, pushing the hips more. When you're in bridge, try not to open your legs too wide. Pretend like you have a block in between your legs that you're trying to hold, or maybe you do have a block that you can use and hold in between your legs. And you're going to feel that inner thigh really working. For 3, 2, 1, gently lower down. Windshield wiper those legs. Let's do 2 more. Here we go. When you're ready, lifting those hips up. Remembering to hold that invisible block in between your legs. Maybe your hands are by your side. That's okay. Let's go for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Slowly lower down. Wiping the rain away. We windshield wipe those legs again. Wiping any tears away. Hopefully you're not crying. Bad joke. All right, let's go. When you're ready, inhale, lifting those hips up all the way. Maybe trying to clasp your fists and come up, holding that block in between your thighs, imaginary or real. Here we go, counting down. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lowering those hips down. This time we're going to bring our knees to our chest, hugging into a tight ball, bringing our head up and releasing. Maybe rocking on our lower back, giving it a little massage. This time, going to plant the left foot down, cross that right ankle on top of the left knee, and weave your hands behind that thigh, pulling that leg up, pointing those toes towards your knee, right toes towards your right knee, and using that right elbow to push open that knee. Very good. Two more breaths. Releasing your grip, slowly lowering that left foot down, crossing that right leg on top of your left, arms out to a T, and twisting those hips to the side for supine twist. You're going to look towards those right fingertips. Just get to know your right hand a little bit. And we always say that phrase, I know it like the back of my hand. Do you really know the back of your hand? Well, now's the time. Now's the time to really get to know it. Taking one more breath. And slowly moving those hips back to center, uncrossing them, planting the right foot on the mat, taking that left ankle and placing it on the right knee. Using those hands, you know where they're going, pulling that right thigh up towards you. The left toes are going to be reaching for that left knee. Pulling that leg back as you use your elbow to press open that left knee. Maybe you're feeling that hip stretch. One more breath. All right, here we go. Releasing our grip, bringing that right foot down onto the mat, crossing our legs, arms to a T, and leaning those knees over to the right side. Guess what? Now you get to know the left back of your left hand. It's beautiful, isn't it? And we're just breathing here. And bringing those knees back to center, untucking your legs, laying your legs long, making any minor adjustments you might need to come into your final resting pose, Shavasana. Closing our eyes, feeling our lips, and focusing on our inhales and our exhales. Maybe thinking about our theme and how we changed directions on our mat, changed a couple of postures to help make us more comfortable. Or just release any thoughts and focus on being present. If you'd like to keep meditating in Shavasana, just pause the video and shut me out. Now, let's wiggle our fingers and toes a little bit, waking the body back up. Raising our arms above our head for full body stretch, reaching those hands as far as we can, pointing those toes down as we can, and releasing to one side, keeping our eyes closed for a few more moments of peace. When you're ready, slowly pushing yourself up to an easy seat, opening our eyes and bringing our hands to our heart. Thank you so much for joining me on your mat today. I hope you enjoyed the flow. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them in the comment section below. And I hope to see you again on your mat soon. Namaste.